There's an old Russian saying that goes, a bad dancer's balls are always in the way. And in gaming, that translates to blaming the controller, blaming the console, the cheap AI, you name it. And on the internet, for every legitimate gripe, you get this sea of trolls that rise up from the muck to tell everybody else about it. So in the first part of my review, I briefly talked about the people making bold claims online about the input lag on the PC Engine Mini, and specifically how Lords of Thunder was far, far worse than the rest, almost unplayable in their minds. I've seen at least 2 videos now referencing the game Lords of Thunder as unplayable due to the input lag on the Mini. And I'm here to tell you that that is utter bullshit. If it's unplayable, it's because you need practice. So play the game some more, enjoy yourself, get good, and stop blaming your SUCKITUDE on the console. So I got a PC Engine Mini controller and an original hardware controller and wired them both up with an LED so we can do some testing. And we're gonna get some answers. What is the actual input lag on a PC Engine Mini versus original hardware? And is Lords of Thunder really worse than the other games on the system? Or are they just talking out of their ass? You're gonna learn today. So let's get down to business, shall we? First, a quick methodology. You need to know what the display lag is of your particular TV. And for that, we use a handy dandy, or in my case, Leo Bodner tester. On the back, there's a little photo sensor, and it's super easy to use. Check this out. You simply plug in the HDMI cable into the port, the other end goes to the TV, you press and hold the button, and you wait for the menu to come up. Now notice the 3 lines. You put the photo sensor while holding down the button over the center line is what I like to do, and it will tell you the exact reading. In my case, this TV reads right around 14.2, 0.5, 14.1, let's say 14 milliseconds. Next, you need to figure out the lag inherent in the game itself, and you do that by testing it on original hardware on a CRT, or how I like to do it, using an OSSC on the exact same television, because the OSSC adds no discernible lag of its own. Analog inputs, HDMI output. Awesome unit. So in the end, when you're testing something like the PC Engine Mini, you end up with the total frames of lag that your brain has to deal with before it decides whether to blame the console or not. Then you have to subtract the display lag, subtract the lag inherent in the game itself, anything else in the signal chain, and you end up with the actual lag that the emulator, in this case the PC Engine Mini, is adding to the signal chain. Are you ready to see what I found? If so, in measuring Lords of Thunder at 240 FPS, I need to cycle frames between 30 and 32 times from button press to reaction. So at 60 FPS, that's a total of 7 to 8 frames. Once I subtract the 14 milliseconds for the display and another 3 frames for the inherent game lag, we see that the Mini itself is adding 3.5 to 4 frames of lag, which is pretty much what I expected. So with all the talk about the supposed issues Lords of Thunder has, I expected to see a significant difference in the other games. But what I found instead was very surprising, because it contradicted all the claims that I'd been seeing and reading. I tested Ninja Gaiden, another game that seems very lag sensitive, and it was within a half a frame of Lords. Fair enough. Then I tested Bonk, and also it averaged no more than about a half a frame in either direction. Okay, how about a super graphics game, Aldynes? Nope, same ballpark. And so it went on and on, game after game. Now, I didn't test every single of 57 games, but after going through near a dozen, the answer was clear. Aside from a couple of outliers I came across, every single game I tested gave results that averaged within a frame or less of Lords of Thunder. So I had to go back to Lords of Thunder and make sure I wasn't missing something. I tried the different armors and on different stages, thinking maybe certain shots on various armor come out slower. Nope, all results kept coming back the same. So I had to ask myself, why is everyone harping on Lords of Thunder when it has the same input delay as all the other games, according to the testing? And why, in general, am I hearing so many people dismiss the console just outright due to these claims, which I'm now seeing proven completely false? I don't think I can give a definitive answer, but I think I have an idea. So I came up with a formula to explain it. So without further ado, I present to you my new formula for determining the SUCKITUDE coefficient. So let's go through it real quick. To determine the SUCKITUDE coefficient, first you have to determine the SUC, or the suck. To do that, first you have to take the time. That's the time you spent playing a game. You then multiply it by A, which is the amount of attempts that you made playing that same game. Once you've done that, you then divide it by the yaw. That's the yaw of W. And W is the amount of time in seconds that it took between when you rage quit the game and went online to complain about it. That's W. So once you've done that, you then move on to the second part of the equation, and you add capital G, which is the size of your game collection. Once you've done that, you have to divide it by lowercase g. Lowercase g is the amount of games in that collection that you've actually beaten. And again, you take that and multiply it by the yaw. That's the yaw of W, which is your rage quit coefficient. Once you've done that, you've determined your suck. Now that you've determined the suck, all you have left to do is multiply it by F. And that's the number of followers that you have, or subscribers if you have a channel, or what have you. If you're a large channel, let's say you're a YouTube channel that has tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers, when you multiply it by F, your SUCKITUDE coefficient goes through the roof. And that's because now you're taking your suck and you're sending it out to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. In fact, you know what? I just realized I got this formula wrong. I forgot something. Because all of the followers, subscribers, are now parroting this information to everybody else, incorrectly I might add, you now have to take that F and make it exponential. There you go. Now you may be looking at this formula and thinking, you know what? It bears a passing resemblance to Randy Marsh's TMI formula from South Park. And you'd be absolutely right. And that's because suck and TMI are often complementary. So next time, think before you come online to suck. But you know what surprised me again? There was one game that I tested that multiple other reviews stated having no issues at all playing, where the lag varied wildly, and that was Soldier Blade. I had to go back multiple times and confirm that I was getting a variance of over 3 frames. No matter, didn't stop me from posting a nice score in my video last week. So it sounds to me like there's another factor at play here. And the answer lies in testing the original hardware. So it turns out that on the original, the delay varies just as wildly, ranging from 2 to almost 6 frames. Crazy, right? So the Mini is emulating exactly what the original hardware is doing with the erratic frame rate. But back to Lords of Thunder. It ran at a rock solid 2 to 2.5 frames of lag. Some other games for comparison, both Bonk and Ninja Gaiden ran at a solid half to under 2 frames of lag. So Lords runs at about a half to a frame slower. Unlike Soldier Blade, that is by far the most erratic and has the worst input delay of the bunch. And yet, all the reviews of the Mini seem to think that Soldier Blade runs just fine. And it does. So what that tells me is that all these seat of the pants measurements are honestly full of suck. Now, after these tirades of mine, I do want to clear the air a little bit. There's a reason I didn't single anyone out or name names, and that's because a lot of these people and their channels are ones that I actually very much enjoy and respect. And overall, the general impressions from them were very much positive. Now, am I miffed that there's certain aspects that were given short shrift and not properly tested? Well, I think you probably figured that out by now. But the reason we do this is the same reason we critique anything else, including the mini consoles, is that, at least we hope, that with the feedback and correction, next time, they'll do better. Either way, I'll be watching. And until then, smoke 'em if you got 'em.